Welcome, dear viewers, to your favorite channel, Otaku Central. Today, we will continue with a recap of the previous episode, and if you missed the first part, the link will be provided in the description. Let's start our journey. Last time, we stopped at the part concerning Yu, who struggles to make friends and isn't interested in defending Yuto, who is being bullied by other boys. When Yu heard the bullies planning to attack Yuto, he got upset and intervened, telling them to stop. They then gathered around him, asking if he wanted to be his lawyer or if he wanted to serve them like Yuto. With arrogance, Yu replied that he didn't mind entering a fight to see who would serve whom. Then, Shinoa warned him that if he tried to harm any civilian, his punishment would increase. Shocked by the news, Yu froze in place and was also hit. Later, he bought supplies for the students. Feeling cursed by his luck, Yuto keeps apologizing to Yu for what happened because of him. Yuto questions him, asking why he keeps apologizing and what he did to deserve the attacks. Yu explains that he wanted a favor from Yamana and asked him to be friends. When Yu asks who Yamana is, Yuto points out that he's the one who just hit him. However, Yu brushes it off, focusing on what favor he wanted from it. Yuto reveals that he failed the entrance exam for the Imperial Army and wants to join in any way possible. When he learns that Yamana is a potential soldier for the famous Moon Demon team, he wants him to recommend him in the army to retake the exam. Upon hearing this, Yu gets angry, realizing that Yamana is a potential soldier for the famous Moon Demon team. Why don't they want me with my strength? Guren, I will kill that scoundrel for what he's done to me. Yuichi. He continues saying, I know I'm weak, but I want to join the army to avenge my sister. She was killed by vampires, and she protecting me when I was young, helpless, and hiding without being able to save her. Our hero coldly replied, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, but forget the idea of joining the army. More importantly, your sister wouldn't want anyone to avenge her, because a weak and cowardly person like you would only be a hindrance in the extermination of vampires. Yuichi. At that moment, his words hurt him, and he began to cry. Suddenly, they heard an explosion in the area, and a voice on the microphone warned everyone to stay away from the escaped vampire from the biological research unit. Shinwa then told them, both of you, leave from here. I'll call the Devil Moon Squad. You. He said, we don't need them. I will go and kill the vampire myself and force Guren, the fool, to confess about me. She thought it was a very foolish act on his part at that time, but our stubborn hero rushed to his wardrobe and took the sword from there. As soon as he heard a girl screaming, he went to see what was happening and found a vampire holding the girl and sucking her neck. With a defiant look, he said to the vampire, it's been 4 whole years since I last saw any of you. You'll die by my hands. He started fighting her with the sword, and she skillfully dodged his strikes, but he managed to cut off her arm. And when he noticed that the girl was still alive, he told Yamana, who was sitting on the ground terrified, to take the girl so that they could escape from there, and he could go save her. He said, I'm afraid to move. And he replied, how can you, a potential soldier, be afraid? He responded saying, I was lying. I thought that by saying so, the students would fear me and respect me. Then the vampire shocks him by taking her severed hand, reattaching it and regenerating. She tells him, as long as you oppose me, I'll kill you first. She continues to fight with our hero, and every time he injures her in one place, she regenerates anew. He tried to kill her with his pistol, but she managed to evade him well. Then she tells him, you humans are foolish. Now I'll kill this student in front of your eyes till I heal faster. And she went to drink from the girl's blood and finish her. But before she could do that, Yuichi intervened and tackled her to the ground. She got angry and got up to kill him. But our hero intervened and saved him with his sword to fend off the vampire's attack. He told Yuichi, you turned out okay, not like you thought. You lived. He replied, I did it because we are friends. The word friends weakened Yu's power, and the vampire seized the opportunity, grabbed him by the neck, and fell with him. And when they fell to the ground, he stabbed her in the abdomen with his sword. She told him, don't think this stab will kill me, because I can regenerate. I'll drink your blood and kill you before the Demon Moon Squad arrives. Suddenly, Guren stabbed her with a cursed sword and asked her, were you calling for me or something? She angrily asked, what cursed weapon is this? He coldly told her, enough, die now and stop complaining. And indeed, she died on his hands and disappeared because of that cursed sword. Then Guren looked at Yu and said, are you stupid? How could you think to confront a vampire with a weapon that doesn't have an anti-vampire? He told him, you shouldn't intervene. I was about to kill her for real. He replied, yeah, I noticed, but anyway, your presence caused less damage. and you were able to protect your friends, which is nice. He said, I'm not interested in the idea of friends, and you saw my skills yourself, so you must appoint me to the Vampire Extermination Squad, as my skills allow it. He said, it's impossible to appoint someone who doesn't know how to work with a team. Our hero angrily said, I can kill vampires by myself. I don't need anyone's help. At this point, Yuichi, crying with joy, ran to Yu, realizing that he was still alive because he thought he had died when he fell with the vampire. And he jumped on Yu with such force that our hero's head hit the ground, and he lost consciousness. Shinwa looked at the captain and said, I think it's time for you to give in and appoint him, because he knew how to be a friend. At that moment, Yu, with his eyes closed and unconscious, saw the same scene of his friends repeating in front of him, and he saw Mika and the rest of his friends telling him that they are happy that he managed to make friends. He needs to cherish them. He shouldn't deny that, and he can't just live his life seeking revenge alone. They walk away while he calls out to them, but he wakes up at the end. Yuichi speaks to Shinwa and informs her that Yu has finally awakened. She informs our hero that from today onwards, he has been appointed to the Vampire Extermination Unit. She tells Yuichi, you also got accepted to volunteer in the army because they admired how you sacrificed yourselves to protect your friends. So you and I must admit that we are your friends, because we will be with you for a long time. And now, welcome to the Demon Moon Squad. Proudly he responds, all right, agreed. As for Yamana and his friends, they find themselves in a strange place, and one of them is determined to enter a certain door. Yamana tells him, we must leave here quickly, but their friend remains standing in place while everyone walks away, and he is surprised to find the door opening by itself. We return to our hero and see the girl he saved from the vampire coming to thank him, admitting her feelings for him. Shinwa, observing him, says, of course, a hero like you who saved the school will be very popular among the girls, and you should understand that you must love, marry, and have children, especially after the circumstances we went through. The world needs to multiply to compensate for the losses that occurred. He asked her, I have one question. After what I did yesterday, did they finally recognize my skills and assign me to the Devil Moon Squad, right? Why are they still keeping me in this school? She told him, you can file your complaint with Captain Guren. He angrily said, that fool is never in his office. I know where to find him to file my complaint. She replied, okay, then postpone your shouting. Let me tell you that the training has started, and you will get what you want from him. He asked, what do you mean by what I want? At that moment, a very powerful cursed weapon appeared, and she told him, this is the demon I contracted with, and I insisted that you see it. In astonishment, he asked her, is this the cursed weapon that kills vampires? He tried to touch it, but she stopped him. She told him, I also joined the Vampire Extermination Unit, and once I get a weapon like this, I'll be able to fight them alone and won't need anyone. She added, you won't be able to do it alone. Teamwork is still necessary. Here, his sword appeared, and he told her, give me your weapon. I want it. She replied, you can't take this weapon because I contracted with a different demon. You have to contract with a different demon and get your own weapon. He said, fine. Since it's not possible, show me how strong it is. And they began to fight, he with his ordinary sword and she with the cursed sword. She noticed that he indeed had very good skills, and she told him, you're very good, but you won't be able to match a cursed weapon with a normal one. With the strength of the weapon, I managed to defeat him with all my might. He was extremely amazed by the power of this weapon. After their fight, he said, indeed, with the power of this weapon, I don't think any vampire can stand against you. She replied, on the contrary, vampires are armed too, with very powerful weapons on the battlefield. That's why Captain Guren always emphasizes teamwork, and everyone must act as a coordinated unit to defeat these vampires. Don't underestimate the vampire who came without any weapon, as she was originally fleeing from the lab. While they were talking, Yuichi entered running and said to Yu, help me against them, referring to the bullies who had previously harassed him. Yu asked, are they bullying you again? Yuichi replied, they want to be my followers, but I'm not the kind of person who enjoys playing that role. When Yamana saw Yu, she said, you must be his friend and the one who saved me from the vampire yesterday. Please let him help us to be his followers. Yu replied, how do you have the audacity to ask him that you want to be his follower after bullying him? She said, I know we don't deserve it, but we're in trouble and need his help. Our protagonist intervened sharply. You have no dignity coming here to ask for help after your actions. She replied, let's agree that we are not right. But our friend Yuji entered the forbidden room and hasn't returned yet. When I heard that Yuichi was joining the extermination unit, I wanted him to help us. Shinwa intervened, saying, Your friend intruded into a restricted military zone, right? When they hesitated in front of her, she continued, I don't want to hear your excuses. You must have entered it out of curiosity and play, even though the military warned not to approach it. Anyone who enters this area faces a severe punishment, meaning your friend is essentially arrested by the military. They panicked and asked her if she could do something about it. She replied, he might already be executed as punishment for what happened. This was shocking to everyone. Later, we see Yu asking Shinhwa about the story of this forbidden room. She said, haven't you heard about the wonders of the 7 Wonders School or something? This room is one of them. He told her not to exaggerate the matter, but she insisted, this forbidden room is definitely controlled by the military, right? She said, let's say it's almost like a training facility for the vampire extermination unit. Our protagonist was very surprised by this. Yu and Yuchi understood that the extermination unit's training had begun and asked them to join her to see the place she wanted them to see. They descended into an underground temple at the school, and she told them, this school is all a training ground, but we've created an underground place to contain a demon. Those who are unaffected by the evil demon's aura join the extermination unit. So, this school exists to conduct a large-scale human experiment. Afterwards, she looked at our very astonished hero and said, do you think there would be a normal school in a corrupt world like this? Then she took them to a specific place and told them, no one can enter this place except by summons from the military or from the demon. Since we didn't summon Yuji, it means the demon did and almost consumed his heart. Yuchi asked her, what happens if the demon consumes his heart? She replied, he will turn into something worse than a vampire, becoming a mindless demon, feeding on humans. That's why anyone entering this place must undergo comprehensive training, especially training for the heart. Before she could finish, Yu stood by the door and said, I need great strength to take revenge on the vampires. That's why I have to enter this room. And it doesn't matter if I obtain the power from the demon or elsewhere. She was shocked and told him it wouldn't be easy to enter this room like that. But he didn't heed her warning and entered. He saw a large group of swords on the ground and a person holding a cursed axe. He understood that it was Yuji after the demon took control of him. Shinhwa entered with Yuchi and told him to watch from afar, but not to intervene because it's dangerous. He told her, supposedly no one knows how to take this axe from his hand, right? Then I'll take it. And he entered the demon's territory. She panicked and asked Yuchi to contact the team for support quickly. Then we see our heroes standing fighting the demon with his ordinary sword. Shinhwa intervened and stopped him from fighting, saying if he holds the cursed weapon in his bare hand, the demon will take control of him and turn him into a demon like itself. He said, but I won't lose to a demon. She replied, you will lose. You don't have what it takes to win against it right now. Your heart is untrained and weak, especially since it's filled with vengeance. That means it will know how to control you because demons manipulate human desires. That's why Captain Guren won't give you a cursed weapon now. Then he closed his sword and told her, I'll show you how I can defeat a demon without a weapon. And he threw his sword away and entered the battlefield, shocking her with his audacity. With determination, he struck the demon and took the weapon from its hand. Suddenly, he found himself back among his friends, who were sitting and eating, while he was surprised that they were alive. He asked them, are you guys alive? They replied, no, of course, we died. Did you forget or what? You're the only one who managed to escape. Then he yelled and said, I didn't escape. Mika stood behind him and said, no, you did escape. And moreover, you didn't take our revenge. Please, take our revenge. Listen to me and do it. Yu then understood that what was happening around him wasn't real, and he hit Mika, telling him he wasn't the friend he knew because Mika was brave and cared for him and would never ask for revenge. Instead, Yu continued to fight the demon, telling it how dare it impersonate his family and tarnish their image in front of him like that. After he hit the demon, suddenly he regained consciousness. Shinhwa was shocked and asked him how he returned to his normal state without using the binding spell. He asked her, what are you talking about? She replied, it means the demon showed you a big illusion, and with your mental strength, you managed to control what you saw and defeat the demon. He was happy and asked her, so does that mean the cursed weapon is mine now? She told him, you still need Captain Guren's approval first to contract with the demon to obtain this weapon. Unfortunately, I can tell you now that you need to undergo training because you're ready. He was very happy that he finally took the first step to help him take revenge. That's it, dear viewers. This was the second part of the Vampire Killer anime. Don't forget to write in the comments if you want us to summarize anything else. And don't forget to support us with a subscription and like. That's it. Goodbye.